So, they say that perception is reality. So I wonder what would happen if you took the time to improve your perception. Good day, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Monday Morning Moments with Mark. I hope this finds you well. As you saw in the open, this week we're going to talk a little bit about perception and how we can improve our perception, and I'm going to correlate that to how it can help us make better decisions. But before we get into all that, as always, we have to start with the funniest thing. So, the funniest thing that happened this week was while I was out running errands with my illustrious wife, she was her usual funny self, and well, it cost me a trip to Tropical Smoothie that I was happy to make. So we have to keep our errands to a minimum because she's still operating with a bum knee. So it's a quick trip to Lowe's, 4 items. We got a list. We're ready to go. We go to Lowe's. Item number one, check. Item number two, want a new barbecue grill kit. The utensils. They don't have one that I like. She's not happy with the options either. Pull out my phone, do a quick search. Walmart has one that we both like. I said, all right, well, we'll just go to Walmart after this. No problem, right? She's like, okay, yeah. So we ended up being in Lowe's a little bit longer than anticipated, but such as picking out plants with your wife. For those of you that have never had that illustrious experience, it's wonderful, and but it will take a little longer than you anticipate. I don't care how much time you anticipate. So when we get ready to leave Lowe's, and now after all this plant picking out, I go to turn in the direction of Walmart, and she goes, where are you going? And I went, to the Walmart. She goes, oh, I forgot about that. And I'm like, well, we're only going there for one thing. We know what it is. And if you're a good girl while we're there, I'll take you to Tropical Smoothie afterwards. She goes, I said, can you handle that? She goes, I'll try. I said, you're a 40-year-old grown woman. I'm talking about behaving in Walmart, and the best you can do is I'll try. She goes, yes. So anyways, we go to Walmart, and I didn't understand what she meant by that. So we're going to go in the back door of Walmart, and the barbecue stuff is right there. It's maybe 200 yards round trip. Okay. And so we go in there, get the thing, we go to pay, and she's like, all right, I'm going to go start heading back to the truck. And I said, okay, no problem. And I pay, I go out, and she's standing out there picking out, looking at more plants. I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be going to the truck. And she goes, yeah, but I like these. All right, fine. So we browse the plants at Walmart, end up buying 3 more. And we go get back to the truck, and she goes, well, I was a good girl. And I went, no, you weren't. You couldn't even not look at the plants and pick out more plants while I was checking out with one item. She goes, but I didn't say anything about my knee the whole time. Yeah, we went to Tropical Smoothie. So, anyways, that's the funniest thing that happened this week. Wonderful adventures with Miss V. Anyways, in inspiration, sorry about that, in inspiration of this whole episode about perception actually came from her experience of having to ride around Lowe's in one of the little carts. And she's only has so many steps that she can get in a day. And I wasn't going to allow them to be used up walking back and forth across Lowe's. That makes no sense. So I said, you got to use the little cart. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm going to feel stupid. I'm like, why? My perception is you have a medical necessity, like get in the cart. Like you can only do so much. Her perception is, uh, I don't want people to judge me because I'm relatively healthy looking and they don't know what I have going on in my life. And so, that piece of stress comes in. And then and these are things we talked about later. And she says, well, I felt like I was inconveniencing someone because my disability is fleeting. And, I do have some capability, and be it limited. And maybe I felt like I was taking it away from someone that has a greater need for it than I do. And then also just not accepting that I am disabled currently. And so from that perspective gaining that she got from being forced into that situation, she actually gained 3 real key pieces of growth that I would consider is one is accepting the reality that the cart is needed and that is her current reality, and being okay with that acceptance of self. The second one is the just gaining a consideration, her words of gaining a consideration of what it requires for someone that lives that every day, whose disability is not fleeting. And, she's thinking about the person that she might have been inconveniencing, and then what they have to go through with that. She's talking about like just how much it takes to turn the thing and how much space you need to not knock stuff over in the store and like stopping distances and just her little experience in that and the appreciation and consideration that she gained for that. And then the other part about, tuning out other people's judgment is understanding that everybody has a reason for why they're doing something a certain way. And that's actually, kind of an extension of last week's episode where I was talking about cultural awareness and how we should broaden our cultural awareness. This broadening of perspective of what, you perceive as a relatively healthy young woman that probably ordinarily doesn't need this cart. If you don't see her knee brace and you don't know her medical history, you don't understand why she needs that cart. And it can skew your perception and ultimately your judgment of that situation. So, they say that perception is reality. So I wonder what would happen if you took the time to improve your perception. Let me give you some tips on how we can do that. Okay. First of all is using all your senses. Initially, the brain will, you'll see something and that's the only sense, and the brain starts to develop a judgment processing that information. Or you'll hear something. But if you take the time to see and then pause and actually listen, maybe someone would have heard the two of us talking about her knee and then realized, oh, she has a knee brace on. Got it. Right. Or maybe they heard us saying it and then they looked and realized, oh, it's, vice versa. And then in other situations, you can also, incorporate smells and just really using all 5 of your senses. The other thing is your 3 different brains, your head brain, heart brain, and gut brain, and bringing those senses into it, which your brain is your head brain being your sense of logic. What am I logically processing here? Your heart brain being your emotion, how do I emotionally feel about this? And then your gut brain being your intuition. So listening to what all 3 of your brains say about a given situation helps broaden your perspective immensely and allows you to gather more information. Which brings me to the idea of spending more effective time orienting yourself to all of the information that is available. Orient is one of the 4 steps in the OODA loop decision making cycle. I'm not going to get into a big discussion about OODA loops. You can look it up for yourself. Colonel John Boyd and decision making process, OODA loops, OODA. But the orient phase is where we gather this more information. If you take the time to process in more information, it's the idea of mindfulness, awareness, and mindfulness, then you can make better, more deeply connected decisions that will ultimately become more rooted in your values, because what the things, the perception growth that my wife experienced were actually connected back to her personal values. So that's the benefit that you can gain when you take that moment to open yourself up to a broadened perspective. You broaden your reality as well. So take a little bit of time this week to open up your perspective and your perception to what is around you. Have a great week.